to move forward in spirituality. Now, this is a very interesting viewpoint which Srila Prabhupada is bringing about, and he's very clearly telling people in this world they work on advancement, which is quite natural. This even 50, 60 years ago was also the same logic. Actually, one time, few devotees during the time of Srila Prabhupada, there was landing on the moon concept came. That means they're actually doing it. That was in US. I think that was the first time they're doing it. And then everyone is putting in the television wherever they go, they see this notion that people are going to the moon, and they're super excited. And if you actually see, they went or they do not went, that is secondary. But a question will come after going, what gain it gave? Who did they receive after going there? Or what did they understood? Uh, what did they figured it out? Prabhupada actually tells there were some stones. Prabhupada was being told this. There were some stones. Prabhupada said, but what kind of advantage it is? Can they stay there? They cannot stay there. What's the point of going there? Prabhupada also says, did they really go? They said they went. There is no assurance that they really went. So there's uncertainties. And to do that, they've spent millions and millions of dollars. And what did they found after that? They got few stones or something like that. Prabhupada says if one cultivates knowledge, if one develops Krishna consciousness, one can actually go far beyond that. Not to speak of going to moon planet or sun planet. And to actually go to moon planet and the sun planet, they require another special kind of a body. Not this body. This body, with this body, we cannot go there. With this particular body, a person cannot go to that location. Why a person cannot go to that location with this particular body? Because this body doesn't have that substance, because this body is pertaining to only to this earthly planet. Can this body be taken to the Surya Loka? No, it cannot be taken, because in the Surya Loka, the people that are living in it is in Surya Loka also. Sun planet, the fiery bodies. Just like we have vegetation, their vegetation is something else. They consume fiery. We don't know what they eat, but Prabhupada says they have fiery bodies. Now, what is that? Now, every planet has different kinds of bodies. Because spiritual world also has a different kind of body. Remember yesterday we discussed about that. Now, when we leave this body has to be left here in the earthly planet. This body cannot be taken to the spiritual planet. But the consciousness which the jiva has carried, that goes to the spiritual planet. But the consciousness, for example, is very sinful. His sinful tendencies or his sinful activities, that is carried him to the next state. Because he was sinful. For that sinful activities, he has to repent. For example, he is pious person. He is pious. Now, for that pious activity, he has to go to higher planets. And then stay there for some time and then again come back here. So what is happening through his actions at this particular moment is destined to get another body. That means the actions which we did in the previous life or in the previous life. Through that actions, we are getting a body now. For example, if a person is going through difficulties, or what is the difficulty? If a person is going through a difficulty means what is happening to him? He received those difficulties not just today. He did actions for that in the past. Through those actions, he's getting a reaction now. That means a child who's suffering now is actually his action which he did in the previous life. But now, when a sadhu sees that particular person, especially when a Vaishnava would see that particular person, he would not just put them on the radar or put them in the parking lot, stating that this is a karmic reaction. This is a baggage of karma. He's not putting in the parking lot. Rather, he's actually working on that particular person through genuine compassion for that jiva. This is the Vaishnava. These are the pure exalted Vaishnava acharyas. Now, Srila Prabhupada, what is the whole intention of writing this? Or what is the whole intention of establishing this organization? Oh, he could have said that this is all karmic reactions. It's all foolish people staying here in this material world. And he could have just ignored. But he did not do that. But out of his compassion and love towards every jiva, he said, no, no, no. You're suffering so much. You know, our Father has an eternal home for all of us. He created that. He's asking all of us to come there. Oh, why are you suffering here? No, he's not telling that this is a karmic reaction. This is a karma baggage. Rather, what is he doing? He's actually profusely lamenting for that jiva. Yes, he's praying for the jiva. Yes, yes, this jiva has to uplift his consciousness. He has no other alternative other than this. Anything which is done in this world, we do not have any alternatives actually. Do we have any alternatives here? We think we have alternatives, but we do not have any alternative other than taking up this process of pure devotional service. Not just this process. What is this process which I'm talking about? The process of pure devotional service. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. And then hearing is the easiest process. It is not a difficult process. So through this process, what is happening here? What is? You get to remember the Lord. You get to understand Him. You get to know His position. Now, this is the difference between which I just mentioned about karmic reaction, the karma baggage. Now, if a person has just knowledge, jnana, through that jnana, what he says, oh, this child is 2 years or 3 years or 6 months old, he's suffering from the bodily discomforts, and this is purely because of karma. He's not just leaving. The person with the knowledge, he would just leave. And then he would think, oh, I shouldn't do any karmic reaction. If I do karmic reactions, I might get a similar body just like the child received in his next life. Just be careful with that. Now, that is one level of understanding the truth. But a Vaishnava actually sees that child, he profusely prays for that child. Oh, my dear, please, please see that those parents become devotees. And through their acceptance of Krishna consciousness, there will be a tangible improvement in that child. Why? Why those things are happening, dear devotees? Please understand. Here, Vaishnava, what he does is, this is what our acharyas are teaching. What they do is, they are not just, they know, because Krishna consciousness is the only process. This is the only benediction. The benediction moon which is coming, which is descending from the spiritual realm. Cheto darpanamarjanam भवमहादावाग्नि निर्वापनम श्रेय कैरिव चंद्रिका वितरणम विद्याबंधु जीवनम अनंतांबुधिवर्धनम प्रतिपदम पूर्णामृत स्वादनम सर्वात्मा स्नपनम परम विजयते This is the greatest benediction. Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Because this is a ray of hope which is coming from the spiritual sky, in the spiritual realm. So they understand that, they know that this can dissipate everything. Not just leaving one thing as a karmic reaction is at one level. That means we are stopping it somewhere. But who actually goes till the end is that Vaishnavas. What do? They go to the fag end and then they try to help the jiva and pick that jiva from that position. Because the jiva is staggered at so many places. Is kind of kept in an illusory state. And he's thinking that through that illusory state only, whatever so-called thing he's doing, he's feeling that that will give him some kind of happiness. You remember Srila Prabhupada gives this beautiful example. There's a person who's running from an elephant and then he climbs a tree out of fear of elephant. Because if he is down, the elephant will trample him. So he climbed the tree and the elephant watched it. She's in the ground. And on the tree, there are snakes on one side. So he came to the other side. And on the bottom, he's holding the branch, and on the bottom, there are whales within the water. There are crocodiles, not whales. Crocodiles within the water. It's a lake, it's a small pond. So crocodiles within the water. So if he jumps in the water, he'll be killed. If he goes outside, he'll be killed by the elephant. If he stays on the tree, there are snakes. So some way, shape or form is intertwined. Now he's in a difficult situation. And in this difficult situation, he gets a ray of hope. It's not a ray of hope. He receives a drop of honey that falls on his head. He would see on the top, oh, honey. The honey is dipping drop by drop. You know what he's doing? This is very interesting. Now he has so many problems externally. He can see he has so many problems outside, on every side, every direction. But on one side, he's getting this drop of honey from the top, and then he licks that, and then he experiences that taste, and then he's trying to lick that honey again and again. That means what is happening is he's forgetting his situation. He's forgetting the situation and then licking that honey. You know how much time that honey will come until it has honey in it? After that, the drop by drop honey will be stopped. But this person is not bothered of all of those things. He just want to experience that. Now the experience of the happiness which he's gaining after licking that honey is a state of happiness which is given to us in this material. Nothing more than that. And that too, that happiness is limited. The material nature will give honey only whatever is required. It will give just to sustain here. Just to maintain one's identity or existence or ensure that this body is being taken care. For that, it is been given. Now, Michael Jackson, he died around 47 or 48. He had 50 doctors all together with him, ensuring that his health is taken care. He wanted to live more. But he died, even though he had so many doctors. That means what is this? Jiva is trying to do an arrangement here, but the material nature has some other plans. The Jiva is forgetting the problems which he has around through the elephant, through the snakes, through the crocodiles. Likewise, the Jiva who is there in this particular material world, he has four major problems, which have this the Jiva always forgets. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. These four major problems the Jiva will always forget. Well, why the Jiva will always forget? Is it not easy? Why we forget this? We see the children, they're born and they don't realize that they will leave one day. Nobody has a clue here. The Jiva is thinking, I'm very happy because my mother is feeding some milk, or I'm this and that. And whatever he wants, he demands that. And then he gets it. And then after getting that, he thinks that that is the happiness. He thinks that that is the solace. For example, if a person has a fever, after a few days, the fever is reduced. The person is so happy because his fever got reduced. That means the happiness which he is experiencing in this world is on a relative plane, dear devotees. Please understand. What am I trying to explain is there are two levels, two planes. There is relative plane, there is absolute plane. In the relative plane, the happiness is very limited. It is not permanent, it is limited. That means it has some existence. That existence is also pertaining to the relative truth, that pertaining to the relative understanding. Just like that person on a relative plane is thinking that licking that honey is the greatest thing. But technically, licking that honey is not the greatest thing. But through that licking, he's forgetting the other things. That means the happiness, so called happiness, which is getting through the licking of honey, that means licking of honey is compared to the happiness of this material world. When a jiva engages in the happiness, so called happiness of this material world, then what happens is he is actually forgetting his real problems. And then now we can say, what is the problem to forget? That's okay. Everyone in this world, nobody knows about Krishna consciousness. They're happily engaging their mind, body, senses in whatever way they want. What is the problem? The problem is through these problems, through this so-called material enjoyments, what is happening is the jiva's time is also running. That is another problem. Because jiva, without his understanding, he becomes old. Without his understanding, he becomes diseased. Through that old and the disease, what is happening? The time is actually killing our body. But time cannot kill the soul, but it can kill the body. And then what is happening? By killing of this body, what is happening? The consciousness which is there is a consciousness of a forgetfulness consciousness. It's not a real consciousness. That means the consciousness is not on the absolute plane, it is on the relative plane. That means his dealings, his discussions, his everything is on the relative plane. For example, I'll give an example on this. There are two children. Then they practice Krishna consciousness. They have a father. They want their father also to practice Krishna consciousness. But the father is very busy. They have a business of, doing some merchandise, some clothes. And the children would say, we are already so rich. Why the father is working so hard? Because these devotees, these children are very intelligent. What they do is they send their father to Varanasi for a field trip. Oh, my dear father, you go to Varanasi for a week, stay there, and then come back. The father would go. Father is actually observing. Is observing that, stating that every day so many people here. coming and then taking darshan at the Lord. Great. And he's also observing another thing that there's so many people leaving their bodies also here every day. When he observed it for a week. And then after that he came to the home. And then the children were asking, what did you reviewed? What did you understood? Did you meet any sadhus? Did you have to talk to anyone? Then the father said, I did not meet, but I have something to tell. I want to go to Varanasi more. Then the children were very happy. Looks like our father is becoming more spiritual now. Then they asked, what's the reason? You know what? There's so many people dying at Varanasi. Let us do the business of wood. If we begin selling wood in Varanasi, I think we will do great. Why? Because there's so many people dying. Our wood will have so much value. Because whatever we say, they'll buy. They will not bargain at the death bed. Do they bargain at the deathbed? They do not. Generally, they do not. So he said, you know what? Whatever we charge, they will buy. Through that, we'll make a lot of profits. Bah. And children understood. Are the mentality is not changed even after going to Varanasi. It will never change. Because where is he? In which plane he is? He's on the relative plane. He's not on the absolute plane. Through this relative plane, what is happening, dear devotees? No matter in which situation we've been kept, we always think what is beneficial to us. Because in relative plane, whom we are dealing with, we are dealing with us. When the jiva deals with himself, he feels insecure. That's why the natural state of his father is he wants to make livelihood. He wants to earn more. Why? He'll be free from insecurity now. He'll be free from problems of this world. He'll be free from so many other things, so many calamities. He's thinking that he'll be free from calamities. That's why he's working very hard. This is another illusory state. Through working very hard, what is happening is we are actually forgetting our real problems. Not just that, we are also forgetting our natural identity. Through the forgetfulness of natural identity, what is happening? The jiva is shattered. Now we see through the examples of the scriptures that the Drashta, he knows absolute truth. But does he want to stay in the absolute truth? He doesn't want to stay in the absolute truth. Why? Because he has some other connection. Because he has deeper attachment to his children than the absolute truth. Please understand, this is important. The attachment to the children should come through the absolute truth, but here the attachment to the children is there as an attachment. Through this attachment, connection to the absolute truth is missed. Generally, Vaishnavas are on the other side. They are connected to the absolute truth, and then through that absolute truth, they connect to their family, or they connected to the devotees, or they connected to everyone. Because where are they connected? They're connected to the absolute truth. Who is that absolute truth? Spiritual master, the Supreme Lord. No, they are the source for that. They are the epitome for that. Because if they are connected to that, if the jiva is connected to the absolute truth, then what happens? His vision to perceive the truth is totally different because he is not on the relative plane. That means what happens on the relative plane? Relative plane is some other different state of consciousness. It's a different scenario completely altogether. It's like the Drashta. He also knows absolute truth, but he doesn't want to dwell on the absolute truth because he has attachment here. For example, if a person, let's say a spiritual master calls a disciple and then speaks to them. The disciple is telling, oh, dear spiritual master, you cannot practice Krishna consciousness now because I have family problems. No, what they should say, you know what they will tell? Oh, you have family problems. That's okay. That's okay. Continue. Slowly try to come out of it. Here. Hear the absolute truth. They'll tell and then they'll just move on. Because the sadhaka is not in that state of acceptance. Just like Krishna told Duryodhana. No, Duryodhana was not in a state of acceptance. Duryodhana was on the relative plane, he's not on the absolute plane. Now Arjuna is bewildered. He's on the absolute plane, but he's bewildered. That's why Krishna removed that bewilderment because he's already in the absolute plane. Or he's aspiring to come to the absolute plane. Either is same. Staying in absolute plane or aspiring to come to the absolute plane, there's no difference. But here on the other side, through one's attachments, through one's aversions, through one's connection, just like Duryodhana, his attachment is somewhere else. That's why through that attachment, he wants Narayana Senya, but he doesn't want Narayana. Please understand this. Now, what is this indicating? You see, every person in this world, any person you touch, any person, they want the energy of the Lord, which is Narayana Senya, but they don't want the Lord. You know, everyone will say, "Ah, I love this nature. I love the taste of the water." They like everything, they love everything, but they don't want the person behind that. No, one way is outrightly rejecting that person is one thing, and the other thing is not knowing that person because of lack of association. Because in certain schools of religion, there is no person because they just worship the energy. Christianity, Muslim, they just worship the energy. Allahu Akbar. What is that? Allahu Akbar means, my Lord, you are almighty, you are great. You are great. That's why I worship you. What is that greatness? Does that greatness has a form? They do not have a form. That greatness doesn't have a form. What does that depicts? That depicts that they are connected to the energy, but not to the root of the energy. That means this is also one level of relative truth. This is not on the absolute truth. The philosophy of Advaita, the philosophy of Advaita is manifested in these groups, dear devotees. Christianity, Muslims, Buddhism. It's a philosophy of Advaita. Little minor changes here and there, but that is the core philosophy. What is that? Lord is not a person, he's an energy. You go to any school, you know, there are few spiritual organizations just speak about this. Most of the spiritual organizations they come under this category. Oh, what is that category? That category of Advaita. That means there is no person. Just like Duryodhana, he did not accept. This is very interesting, Jedovat. The Lord is personally available. He doesn't want to accept it. That means if Lord is not fighting, I don't want him. If he's not fighting, why he? I don't want him. I see. I will deal with Krishna if he's giving me property. If my kingdom is re-established to me, if I become the king again, then I can catch hold of the feet of the Lord also. See, the other things do not matter for me. The only thing which matters for me is I have to I have to get what I want. For that, I am ready to accept energy, I am ready to accept Krishna, I am ready to accept everything. But if Krishna is not fighting, then what's the point of having him? I don't want him. But on the contrasting side, exactly opposite. Arjuna is exactly opposite. Now, what is he teaching? Here, Duryodhana is teaching impersonalism. Now, Arjuna is teaching personalism. Please understand. How Duryodhana is teaching impersonalism? Because he has, see, everyone in this world, they have some attachments. Some have attachment to their wife, some have attachment to their children, some have attachment to the property, some have attachment to so many other things, to food, some have attachment to movies, some have attachment to sports, some attachment, some are greedy, they're attached to money. Different attachments, right? Oh, attachments are there. No, Arjuna might also have attachment. We see that Arjuna also has some attachments. In chapter 1, we will actually see Arjuna has few attachments. There is no problem to have attachments. Duryodhana has attachments, has some deeper attachments. Arjuna also has some attachments. Even though that's on the pure plane, even though Duryodhana's attachments are not on the impure plane, or not on the pure plane, they're on the impure plane, but still if you actually see, both have some attachments. But what is this impersonalism, personalism signifies is, in impersonalism, these attachments are more prominent. Please understand. The attachments are more prominent. Through these attachments, we use different people. For this, we even use Krishna. Yeah, that is a whole point. Na? Oh, tomorrow I have an interview. Krishna, or dear devotees, all of you devotees, please bless so that tomorrow I have an interview. I have to crack that interview. That means for that interview I'm coming. For that interview, I'm coming to Krishna. There are four kinds of people na, going to Krishna. Artho, Artharthi, Jigyasu, Jnani, Savasa. One who is distressed, one who wants money, wants to want money, name, fame, profit, adorations, one who is distressed, one who is trying to understand what's happening. The fourth person, what is the essence? Why am I here? What is the purpose of this life? Krishna says that the person who is actually inquiring about the problems, about the purpose of the life, he says that he is very dear to me. And he is one of the person who will actually understand. Because Arjuna was that kind of a person, falls under that category. That means there is a problem, he is actually connecting, he is actually asking the solution for the problem. That is a core. That is a core reason. Now, here what is happening here through attachments only one will get some problems. Please understand. Without attachment, one will not get problems. But this attachments and the problems is yielding to take association of the Lord. Is yielding to develop a relationship with the Lord through the spiritual master. Because taking that relationship in that level is another plane. Because it is not a mere attachment. But that attachment is actually helping him to take the process of Krishna consciousness. This is called as personalism. Because the person is not bewildered. The person's state is different. Please understand. Because he's seeing that person for help. But on the other side, impersonally, what is happening is attachments are prominent. To fulfill that attachment, they use people. That is impersonalism. That's why if you actually see Duryodhana, his life was so chaotic because of this. Because he's dealing with all the people for this only. That means wherever he goes that he's actually meditating on the attachments, meditating on how to fulfill those things, which is a conditioned state of this world. He is actually representing that, the conditioned state of this world. That means no matter Jiva in which state he is, what he is doing, what he wants to do, what he aspires to do, it doesn't matter. If he has this in the root, then whatever he does will be an obstruction to him. Because that will lead to another karmic reaction, which we began our conversation to. The karmic reaction is is not that easy to come out, dear devotees. For that, we should be fully Krishna conscious. There is no other way for this. If the sadhaka is full Krishna conscious, then he'll come out of it. If a sadhaka develops that personalism, then he'll come out of it. Just like Arjuna developed that personalism. Just like Srila Prabhupada. He has that personal relationship with his spiritual master. That means his entire life, is, even though his spiritual master was not there, he was actually doing it for him. This is actually staying in the internal energy of the Lord. not the other way. Because nobody in this world can be peaceful. Because this is Karagar, na. Proper Krishna says, Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. Dukhalayam means it's a place of misery. Now, when Krishna is confirming that it's a place of misery, now how can we understand or we do some arrangements and then try to be happy? You see, so many people in this world, they're doing so many arrangements, but all the arrangements are shattered. Let's say all the arrangements were successful, but they're seeing on a relative plane, na. Next life will not be successful. This life is successful because of the pious activities which he did previously. A lot of people, a lot of devotees will comment, this person is not practicing but still is happy. This person commits so many sinful activities but still he is happy. I said, hold on, hold on. He had so many pious credits before. Don't worry. He's just spending those pious credits. This is a relative plane, na? In the relative plane, what happens? Whatever you do, you get it. For example, if a person is envious to one, if there are two persons, let me give this example so that way we can easily understand this. Let's say there are two persons. Now one person is working very hard. Second person is not working that hard. He's just maintaining, and this second person is Krishna conscious. And obviously, when the person is Krishna conscious, he'll be happy. Because what is he doing? He's not looking for his happiness, but he's looking for the happiness of the spiritual master and the Lord. Because his conception is totally different. Entire material world will actually work for themselves only. But this person is totally different. He is actually working for the pleasure of spiritual master and the Lord. His only intention is that, let's say he's taking care of the children, or he's taking care of his wife, or his father, or his mother, or his mother-in-law, this, that, so many other things. Let's say he's doing all of those things. That doesn't matter. No matter what he does or how he does, it doesn't matter. But he's doing everything for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. Dasarathi was actually a scholar. But as per the words of Ramanujacharya, he goes and then stays in Mataji's home, and then he becomes their servant and then stays at their home, and then he does all household duties, household chores. No, he's not thinking, "Oh, what am I doing here? I am a scholar. I should learn this, that, so many other things. Oh, why my spiritual master kept me here?" No, he is not thinking like that, but rather he is experiencing that state also. It means devotee at every state is actually doing it for the pleasure of the spiritual master and the Lord. That means he is ensuring that every moment is pleasing them. Is my Lord pleased? Because Krishna is my master, na. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadhana. Oh, he has to be happy, na. That's how Arjuna fought, na, in the battlefield. That's how he could remember the Lord at every step. He's seeing the arrow is coming in the opposite direction to Arjuna. Through that arrow, also Arjuna is seeing the Lord. Because he's not an ordinary person. Through that arrow, also is seeing the presence of the Lord. Through the sound, also is seeing the presence of the Lord. And people are killed. Through that, also he is seeing the presence of the Lord. That means at every nook and corner, at every moment, he is actually seeing the presence of the Lord. This is the beauty of a person who is Krishna conscious. That means if a personalism is established, then he doesn't stay in the relative plane, but he goes into the absolute plane. Absolute plane means it's fully imbibed into the energy of the Lord, which is the internal energy. It is not the external energy. Antarangika Shakti, not Bahirangika Shakti. Antarangika Shakti is the Shakti of Subhadra. Bahirangika Shakti is the Shakti of Bhadra, who is Durga Devi. Subhadra, Bhadra. Subhadra there in the spiritual world, Bhadra here in the material world. That means whoever is actually leading his life according to this, then he, without his knowing, he's kept in that state. That means he's just leading his life. He's just doing. He's just doing to please. It's like Dashrati was just doing it. He was just doing it to please Ramanujacharya. He never felt that, oh, why am I doing like this? Remember Srila Prabhupada also telling, if you are fully absorbed, you will never get this feeling that, oh, why my spiritual master gave me this deities? I have to serve them every day. I can't sleep one day. I have to serve them every day. Prabhupada says that if you are very sincere, you will not get that feeling. Rather, you'll get a feeling, oh, my spiritual master gave me this deities to establish a relationship. Oh, dear spiritual master, thank you so much. And then through the worship of the deities, I'm remembering you every moment. Thank you. Because you are the one who are doing that service. No, it's not me who is doing that service. No, externally I can tell, oh, by the grace of the spiritual master only I got an opportunity to serve. But internally, if I do not establish that relationship with that person, through Shravanam again. The Shravana, I remember when spiritual master tells, through the mercy of the Lord, one will get the association of the spiritual master. And when the sadhaka is sincere, he will hear from the spiritual master and then he will apply the truth in his life and he will transform his life. After transforming, he will not see any problems in his life. But after not seeing any problems, also he can fall prey to the familiarity. Because now I'm devotee, na. You see. I started like this, my Krishna consciousness. I was doing sense gratification after coming to Krishna conscious, but after meeting my spiritual master, you see, sense gratification is gone. That means now I'm a devotee. Through this devotee mentality, what happens? Familiarity will come. How this familiarity will creep in? I will not hear the classes. What is happening? The sadhaka will not hear the classes. He thinks that he's already a devotee. मुझे सब मालूम हो गया. This is the problem. Because when we understand some certain things, next there comes the application. Na? If the application is not right, then the truth will not go deep inside. That means it will never manifest. That means it is still on the impersonal level. Just like Duryodhana, he would never understand the glories of the Lord. He would never understand what devotional service is because it's on impersonal plane. Na? Through the impersonal plane, what is happening? The truth cannot be understood. This is the problem of this world. Please understand, dear devotees. That's why we should pray to the Lord. Oh, my dear Lord, I do not want this impersonalism. I want personalism. I want to serve those devotees. I want to surrender to them. I want to submit nicely. Please give an opportunity. They're giving me so many services. They're ready to give so many services, but I have to cultivate that consciousness, na? Please help, dear Father. If you give that right consciousness, then only na, I can be of some service. This is how you connect to the Lord also through the service of the spiritual master. Personalism. It's not impersonal. Personalism is deep. And we don't want to be familiar. How did what Parikshit Maharaj familiar with Shukadeva Goswami? Was sitting with him for 7 days. Was he familiar? No. Why was he not familiar? Because he knows everything. What everything? He knows everything of Krishna conscious. Oh, he already knows Krishna conscious. But he knows the purpose and intention, where he is, why he is, everything he has a clarity. That means if we have the clarity, and then not just that, he has unlimited devotion to Sukadeva Goswami Maharaj. His attitude of sitting in front of Sukadeva Goswami Maharaj itself gives 1,000 points. Great soul. Parikshit Maharaj was a king of everything, kingly person. He gave up everything and then sits very meekly in front of Sukadeva Goswami. Just like Lord Chaitanya sitting in front of Prakashananda Saraswati, just to put their ego down. Because he want to express himself through uttermost humility. Parikshit Maharaj was actually sitting in front of Sukadeva Goswami with a deep state of consciousness, deep submission. Because that is what is pleasing the Vaishnavas, their heart. It's very important. See, the more we understand the qualities of them, this process will become so joyful. And then here, Lord is telling, right? Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanya gamina paramam purusham divyam yati partanu chintayan. You do my chintana. You remember me. How do you do my chintana? You remember me. How do you remember me? Shravana. Shravana is an easy process. But with the Shravanam goes into the heart, you'll remember him again and again. Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati Parthanu Chintayan. His mind constantly engaged in me, remembering me, undeviated from the path. He, Arjuna, is sure to come to me. Just did what is couple of days back itself, we read this similar shloka. The Lord is continuously repeating again, if you remember me, you'll come to me. If you remember me, you'll come to me. If you remember me, you'll come to me. How do we remember him? Prabhupada says, Samanam. The easiest process. This will lead to remembering the Supreme Lord. How? By hearing Bhagavad Gita from a realized person. And if we serve that realized person, oh, that is fortune. It is jackpot. That means what happens through that service? What happens? Pranipatena pariprashnana sevaya. Because three things are manifesting. Through service, what is happening? Through the service only the truth will go kicking inside. I remember this. This is a epitome. Without this, the truth will not go. This is my understanding. Given by the spiritual master. What is that, dear devotees? If we do service only, the truth will go inside. Truth will actually work on our consciousness. Oh, it's a beautiful process, dear devotees. If we do not do service, even though we hear the truth, but it will not manifest. The service factor has to kick in. Pranipatena pariprashna. Three things should be there. This is the most number one shloka in Bhagavad Gita. Because through this shloka only Sarvadharman Parityaja will come. Otherwise, Sarvadharman Parityaja will not come. Because if this attitude is not established, then the other things we cannot understand in Gita. So, first priority shloka. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashanasya. Upadekshanti te gnanam gnaninas tattvadarsh. Because the jnana, tattva, that person, they have to give the truth to us. Otherwise, how can I understand? For example, if I don't know the truth, they'll give an example on this. There are four people who are blindfolded with a cloth. And then they've been given different places of the elephant. And then ask them to touch those places and then tell what it is. And if some person is touching the trunk and then he's telling, oh, this looks like something. Somebody's touching the feet and then he's telling, oh, this looks like a wall. Somebody's touching the tail and then he's telling, oh, this is something. But nobody's telling the clear picture because they're all blindfolded, right? But the person who doesn't have blindfolded, he's actually seeing all of these people and then he started laughing. Arey yaar, they don't understand this. What's happening? That is trunk, that is teeth, tusk, those are legs, that is tail, that is mouth, those are the eyes. They don't see any of those things. When Sevaya is not established in one's consciousness, what happens is when Pranipatena Pariprashna is there and then if we stopped, the sadhaka is stopped there, Sevaya is not established, then what happens? He's like a blindfolded person. That means truth is there in front of him, but he cannot understand what that is. For example, it's like it's like you've been kept a plate in front of you, but you're not hungry to eat. That means your jataragi, the fire which is there in the stomach, that is not working anymore. And Krishna says, I am the fire which is there in your stomach. Just think about this. If that fire is removed from our consciousness or from our body, if the fire is not working, do we feel eating? We don't feel eating. If we eat on top of that, if the fire is not working, we get diseased. That's a very practical thing here about it. If you are not hungry, you should not eat. It's little difficult, but if you're really not hungry, you're really not hungry, you shouldn't eat. If you are eating when we are not hungry, then what means that means there's some problem in the digestion. And if you are eating on top of that, that means you are adding more problem to the already existing problem. That means what am I trying to say is when this service factor is not happening, not happened, and we are cultivating knowledge from different source. सुबह एक बोलेंगे शाम को एक बोलेंगे दोपहर को दूसरा बोलेंगे तीसरा बोलेंगे different people different perspective everyone is telling so many things that means the information is coming but the service factor is not there. Why do I do that service? How should I do that service? I am doing some service. Is that good service? Is that good for me? Is that correct for me? So somebody has to assess. I am doing this, but then why am I not getting happiness? Why there is a problem in my consciousness? Why there is a problem in my heart? Who has to address that? Who has to tell that? For example, I'm doing services also, but still I'm finding faults in others. Still my mind looks for faults in others. That means where the problem is. That means I'm doing service now. Still, why am I seeing that? Only few people will open up. Nobody will open up because they want to just close out these things and then they just continue what they are doing. Because they think that this Krishna consciousness is not the greatest thing. That means Krishna consciousness is also part of life. Let me just do it. Let me just work. Let me just do this. It's a part of life. But it is not the life. Please understand. If Krishna, but for Prabhupada and his pure followers, it is a life for them. Without Krishna consciousness, there is nothing. Without discussion of Krishna Katha, there is nothing in. The life becomes pale. There is no existence to the life. So these things have to be purified. Should check our heart. That means that sevaya, where I should do that service. These are the questions. Remember my spiritual master in beautiful classes explaining these things many years back. He was telling us that how this service factor is so important. And then for this service, we need a relation. Can we do service to anyone who's, let's say a person is going in the street. We'll just go and do some service to him. For example, you are helping that person, but there should be some motivation to help that person also. That means you are not actually doing service to him, but you are actually doing service to the person who actually motivated you, who actually inspired you, who actually gave you that wisdom, who actually gave you that science. That means whom you are working, you are actually working for that person. That is a real service. Through that service, what is happening is the relationship is established more. Duryodhana didn't had this. That is why it is impersonal. That is why he was not happy. Now understand why he is not happy? Now, if we have that state of consciousness of impersonal, we will never be happy in the science of Krishna consciousness. A personalism has to be established. Yesterday, I was talking to a devotee. Then the devotee is doing a service, and the devotee was asking this question. The question is, how do we give Krishna consciousness to youth? I said, Prabhu, to give Krishna consciousness to youth, first we should be Krishna conscious. What do you mean we should be Krishna conscious? What does that mean? Means we should be very, very sincere to the core of our heart. For example, if you are telling something, you should be the first person to follow all of those things. For example, you are telling to 10 people. You should be the first person who should be convinced with what you are telling to the other 10 people. That means whatever you're telling, you should follow that fully. Full core to the heart. For example, if you're following 99%, that 1% is not following, but that 1% which you're not following, that 1% you're also aspiring to follow it. If you have that state of consciousness, Prabhu, then whatever you tell, the other person will hear. But if you do not have that state of consciousness and you are trying to tell something which you are not convinced, easily they'll find it. It's no brainer. You know why Srila Prabhupada was so instrumental to give the truth to the others? You know what is the reason? His love, his compassion. You know from where that love, compassion came? His acceptance of the process. His feeling of taking the words of his spiritual master as his life and soul. His faith in chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's why whomever he touched, they all got inspired. They all get that spurti, get that enthusiasm to hear, to take the process more. But when these things are not there, I said, "Hmm, Prabhu, if these things are not there, then it's difficult." Prabhupada gave the relationship. See, Prabhupada did not speak a word until they themselves came and then wanted to do some service to Srila Prabhupada. Please understand. He was not giving big philosophies. He was telling very small, 15, 20 minutes. At the max half hour. After that, he was serving them actually. He was extending himself. Please understand this. That's why his quality is his behavior is something cherishable. We should relish this. So that at least we can do some tangible service for his followers because directly we cannot serve Srila Prabhupada. And he said, I want to do some service to Srila Prabhupada. I said, Prabhu, I did not tell. I have no relationship. No? I said, Prabhu, don't you have a master? Don't you have a spiritual master? Don't you want to serve him? Because through his service only, Srila Prabhupada will be very pleased. So you are also initiated. I did not ask, do you have a Shiksha Guru or a Diksha? I told this because it's important. And then I prayed for that devotee. May this devotee come more to the pure plane of Krishna consciousness so that he practices this science more deeperly. Because when deeper practice is there, then deeper giving will come. Otherwise, what I will tell to the other person? I'll tell to chant Hare Krishna. He will ask why I should chant Hare Krishna. Then you might tell something. But to chant Hare Krishna also, Krishna says one should be free from these material inebrities, material desires. That's a 10th offense. If that free is not there, then what happens? That chanting of Hare Krishna, will that help? Chanting of Hare Krishna is always effective, but it has to be chanted through that consciousness. Otherwise, we are actually doing offense to the holy name. Please understand. It's not the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra will not work. We are doing an offense, that's why it's not working. A lot of people will say, oh, why? Since I've been chanting since 15, 20 years, still not, it's not working because we are doing offense. Because we are familiar to the names. We check the time. अरे अभी आधा घंटा हो गया अभी करेंगे करेंगे और करेंगे फास्ट करेंगे to finish the rounds. With this mentality, how we can do it? These are the things which we need to check. If the sadhaka is always vigilantly checking and then he's hearing the name, Prabhupada is mentioning here, right? The mind is always flying to this and that, but one must practice concentrating the mind always on the form of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna or on the sound of his name. That means he should actually concentrate. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Oh, my spiritual master told me, Srila Prabhupada told me I should meditate on this. We should remember this. This is how it will manifest. These things we need to deal. Other, Otherwise, it will not help. Very, very important. Hare Krishna. I'd like to stop here. Anyone would like to add anything? Would like to share? Would like to reflect on what we discussed?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji and Nityam Understood Prabhuji. Thank you so
Hare
much,
Krishna,
Prabhuji,
Subal Prabhu.
for your wonderful katha every day inspiring us, especially the blindfolded, as you said, right? Only with Guru's kripa will be able to see, because
Yes.
in this material world we are all blindfolded, you know, touching something and thinking of something with our imperfect senses. So we have to take the shelter of the Guru, Sadhu Shastra. Only then we'll be able to understand, and they can remove our blindfoldness. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank
yeah, that is the only hope for us. But otherwise, there's no other hope for us in this world. Our spiritual master, they are the hope of us. They are actually our shelter. We understand that our process of taking this science will be deeper, because that is actually the personalism is, which Arjuna wanted to show us through his character, through his acceptance, through his behavior. That is his heart. See the heart of Srila Prabhupada. That is his heart. They both have same heart, same consciousness. We should meditate this more and more. We should think about this truth more and more. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa namya namini. That's our abhyasa, to remember the Lord, to remember the teachings of our acharyas. We should remember their sacrifices, what they have done. Unlimited sacrifices. This book, when I see this book, dear Lord, I always get this feeling, "Arey, you know how much time Srila Prabhupada has invested to write this? It is roughly about 700 pages of purports. Imagine. Almost 800 pages of purports. And Prabhupada says that I condensed this. That means they were even more deeper. They're even more. I think it was like 1200 pages before. Then it was being condensed. Prabhupada said I condensed it. That means see their heart. It's an ocean. It's an ocean flowing. How fortunate are we, dear? We should remember these personalities. There is no personality like Srila Prabhupada. Please understand. He's unique. No personality like him. Our spiritual masters, they are his representatives. We're grateful for that. Otherwise, what can we understand? This Bhagavad Gita cannot understand anything. At least I cannot understand anything. Because this is a deep science. It's all confusing if there is no spiritual master in one's life. Hare Krishna. You. Anyone else would like to add? Otherwise,
you.
we can.
Prabhuji, just one more, Prabhuji. Yeah, I just wanted
Please,
to add, not only Srila
please,
Prabhupada,
Subal Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Yesterday, actually, we had an opportunity to meet one of Srila Prabhupada disciple. He is
Definitely,
in
definitely.
ICU. We should all pray. Baldev Prabhu also said his heart is weak. He's in but he was Prabhuji. Prabhuji was Bruhat Sena Prabhu. He was always telling, this moment is in your hands. You have to take it forward. chant nicely and take it forward. Even though he is in so much pain
Correct.
and lot of going on, all these fluids are going on. So we got a request that we have to go and chant, and we all chanted Brahma Samhita and few some kirtan and all. But he was always pushing us. You have to take it forward in even in that stage. So much conviction they have, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Definitely, definitely. They have so much devotion to Srila Prabhupada, so much love and affection. They took his words as their life and soul. One of genuine souls who still there in the process practicing nicely. Great. They've been practicing since 50, 60 years. Great souls. So all these personalities will definitely go back on back to world. It's an opportunity for us, to reflect us. We have to, when we become sincere, serious of accepting this process, and things will change. The heart will change, the heart will transform. That is a hope, right? Hope will give us so much. His disciples, they give us so much. Our spiritual masters, they give us so much. They gave their life. So our, so our fortune to have them in our life. So we should respect Vaishnavas, should see their sacrifices, get inspiration. At least try aspiring doing a little endeavor or a service for their happiness. And then move forward. Yes. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Puna.
Yes, yes.
Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhuji, Shubal Prabhu said, Prabhuji's, they visited that Brihat Prabhuji, and I was looking at the videos, his pictures, and what I know, what struck my heart is that Prabhuji has no fear of death. Like he has serious illness, and but he has no fear of death. And as Prabhuji explained that he was telling them that to proceed with the Krishna consciousness that's on your hand. So that's only possible when a devotee, Shuddha Bhakta, always give surrender everything to his spiritual master, to Krishna. Only
Correct.
that then possible. Like when I know that I'm going to die very soon, uh, only possible when I'll surrender myself to the Guru. So that's what I just would like to share, Prabhuji. And I would also like to visit Prabhuji, maybe tomorrow or so I'll take the details from Shubal Prabhu. But Prabhuji, from today's discussion, what you explained about the attachment, when the material attachment predominates, and that time the impersonalism comes. And as you mentioned about Arjuna, Arjuna initially he did not surrender to the Lord, and that's why doesn't want to fight with his friends, families, because he was thinking about them. But when he surrendered completely, as you mentioned, like he even in the arrows also he is saying Krishna, because he's completely dependent on Krishna. He's all dependency on Krishna. So that's why he's saying um, everything, Krishna in everything. So Prabhuji, that's why I have to keep in mind that whatever whatever I'm doing it, I should not attach too much in anything, rather attach to the Guru, attach
Correct.
to the devotees, Shuddha Bhakta who are practicing and who is applying Bhagavad Gita's teachings of Krishna to their life.
Correct.
And Prabhuji, I'm always like thinking like just studying, reading, it's okay, but applying the knowledge, applying these principles in the life, I think is the ultimate goal. And through hearing it will come slowly, slowly, Prabhuji. That's my
Yes.
some points to take on.
Hearing, hearing and applying the truth. is very helpful. And we have seen 4 devotees leaving their bodies from our community. All 4 of them went back home, back to Godhead. Their glorious departure. None of them were fearful through their state, and they actually left their bodies with not in the hospital, but in the community. And they're, they're, they're not they're not fearful then, because if you go to hospital, you might stay for 2 more days. But they don't want to go through all those things. They want to stay in the dham, stay in the community, then leave in the midst of devotees. Even in the hospital, devotees would go, but the intention is different. The mood is different. The aspirations are different. 11-year-old child, she also left. She had a she had a she had a bone cancer. She left, but her consciousness was so deep. She personally told me, I saw Radha and Krishna a couple of days back before she left her body. 11-year-old child will not speak lie. So a few examples like that in the community, and then there's another Mataji who left, who was a very very sincere soul. She practiced for years, and blood was coming from her mouth. She was at the home. She was not at the hospital. She knows she'll leave. She was very calm, and she was telling um, the representatives of the Lord came. They went to the temple to take darshan of Gaurnita, and then after that I'll go. That's what she said. And then she said I could see them. So I remember my spiritual master telling these pastimes. What it inspires is, he tells what's more you want to really understand Krishna consciousness. He says, what's more you want to surrender to the process? He says, what's more you want? If you surrender to a pure soul and then follow the instructions, follow the words of the acharyas, you'll go back home, back to God. There's no problem in that. He says, what is stopping in the consciousness? If whatever is stopping, check that. Check that what is stopping. That's what he says. That's what he tells. And then every pastime, he uses that pastime to uplift one's consciousness further and then make progress in Krishna consciousness. So, what is the difference between a sadhu and a normal person? A person committing mistakes and then is not repeating those mistakes, that person becomes a sadhu. A normal person commits mistakes and then he sees people leaving glorious death. They're leaving their body gloriously, but still they don't reciprocate. Still they don't react. That is because due to condition. There's the example of Duryodhana we saw, right? So every example from the scripture, it teaches one thing. What is that one thing? To be Krishna conscious. The Srila Prabhupada's disciple is not fearful. Why is he fearful? Why will he be fearful? He will never be fearful. Because he gave his life to Srila Prabhupada. He gave his life. That's what we should do. We should give our life. We should aspire for that. There is no desire then. What do we give? We don't do. We don't give. Very, very. So having these situations in our life showing us again and again, let us surrender, let us surrender, let us surrender more and more. Take this process more. Thank you. Let's stop here. The cause of inconvenience, please excuse me. I'll continue. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.